Thank you. Also breaking at this hour, the U.S. launching new strikes tonight on Iran right now. And for the first time, the U.S. using sea drones in these combat operations, targeting an Iranian submarine and ship maintenance facility. Tonight, President Trump reinstating his blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, the price of oil skyrocketing already this evening. And the president now says the U.S. will now charge ships going into the Strait. Mary Bruce at the White House.
Tonight, the U.S. launching a new round of strikes on Iran. The two countries trading attacks for days. The war clearly back on.
They're not pushing us around. We're pushing them around.
President Trump now reinstating the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports as both sides battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran announcing it's closed, but Trump today declaring the U.S. will soon become, quote, the guardian of the Hormuz Strait and charge a 20% fee on all cargo that goes through it.
We're going to guard it, and we're going to get paid for guarding it. A lot of money.
Before Trump launched this war, ships were able to pass freely through the strait without needing protection. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has previously dismissed any talk of fees.
No country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway.
If Trump's fee goes into effect, a massive oil tanker transporting 2 million barrels could soon have to pay the U.S. upwards of $32 million. That could cause oil and gas prices to spike even further. They're already on the rise. Gas now at $3.82 a gallon. Analysts say it could top $4 in a week. And David, you heard the president, he's reimposing that blockade on Iranian ports and wants to charge this 20% fee. Oil prices today spiking based on that news, up more than 9%. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House on this Monday night. Mary, thank you.
All right. Ashar, Shabbat, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glories to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son and the Spirit Holy. All right, so call Layim La Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rachad Kodash. Yahweh meaning He exists. Ba'Hashem in the name, Yahweh Shai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. His name means He saves, He delivers. All right. Double honor to our elders and apostles, the GMS who rule well. All right, preaching this truth on the highways and hedges, risking life and freedom to do so. Shalom to the sincere household of faith. That would be so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of you who look like the other nations going back to the lineage of Jacob, a.k.a. Israel. I'm your brother, Tassab Ben Yehuda, back with a quick one in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, so Lord's willing, this lesson is edifying, and you've seen what's going on. 20% fee goes into effect. All right, so today's date, July 13th, 2026. All right, so it's back on, man. You know, 20% fee goes into effect. Oil tanker transporting 2 million barrels would pay the U.S. $32 million, and the United States calling itself now the guardian of the Strait. This is news, all right? So as it happens, man, we filter these things to the spirit. So, you know, as the newscaster stated, you know, before this conflict began, you know, cargo ships were able to traverse freely. All right, they were able to travel freely, I should say. Slakia. They were able to travel freely without, you know, being encumbered with fees and tolls and whatnot. All right, and then it was an issue when Iran said, well, this is our strait, and if you want to use our strait, then you're going to be paying a toll fee. You know, and then you know, Esau, you know, being the hypocrite that he is, Esau Edom being the hypocrites that they are, all right, are now saying, well, we're gonna charge a fee and we're gonna guard it and we're gonna put a toll. If anybody's gonna get paid, it's gonna be us. You know, it's our way of the highway, all right, or the highway. So let's get a precept on this, all right. All right, just the prophet Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, which is doctrine, he is a proud man, all right, neither keepeth at home, okay, who enlargeth his desire as hell, all right, so his desires, his wishes, his wants, what he wants, right, and is as death, all right, so wherever Esau Edom shows up, man, he brings death and destruction, man, he brings confusion and chaos, man, and this is exactly what we see taking place over there in Iran, all right, also over there in the Israeli state, all right, the Levant, Southwest Asia, all right. All right, his desire, who enlargeth his desire as hell, right? He wants all things, right? And is as death and cannot be satisfied, right? He's insatiable, man, in his appetites, all right, for control, dominance, money, being greedy of gain. All right, he said, but gathereth, it says, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, so no matter where you are on the planet Earth, I went into a lesson earlier where I was talking about, if you can build yourself a ship and hit the waters. All right, in the border of wickedness, okay, Esau Edom is going to ask you for your passport, some papers that he designed, okay, and basically telling you that you're property, man. All right, so them people over there in Iran, they pretty much control the Strait. They've been doing so for a very long time. And then here you have American forces over there telling these people, dictating to them what they can and cannot do, right? So, this is the pride of the Esau Edomite, man. All right. Next verse. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. All right, woe means like destruction, man, to the people that's pretty much greedy of gain, and increasing that which are not theirs. All right, it says how long? All right, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. That means debt, man. These Federal Reserve notes you call United States dollars are debt notes. All right, debt notes meaning they owe somebody. All right, so that's that. Let's get another precept on this. This is the book of Job, chapter 27 and 8, man. All right, for what is the hope of the hypocrite? All right, though he hath gained when Yahweh, all right, taketh away his soul. All right, so that goes into what Yahweh Shai is saying, like, what is it, what is it benefit of man, right? To sell his, to pretty much gain the world and to lose his own soul, man. All right, your soul is become a bottomless pit, so to say. Being greedy of gain. All right, having a insatiable appetite for power, money, control, all of these things, man. When you lose your soul, because those things that you're chasing after become your god. All right, so this is exactly what Esau Edom has done with lands, property. He coveted fields, okay, that don't belong to him, man. All right, so a hypocrite is a person that does what? A hypocrite is somebody who preaches righteousness to people, all right, but don't do it. It say right here, a hypocrite is someone who claims to have certain moral standards, beliefs, or virtues, but behaves. This is their actions, the fruits of their spirit. It said, but behaves in a way that contradicts those very principles, man. So how are you going to sit here and say you have moral standings and you want to be a guardian of something when really you're just stealing, man? All right, because you got, you rule with you rule with your sword, man. All right, Esau's that great sword. All right, so the sword is the wicked. All right, let's get that precept real quick. All right. Like I said, man, this is going to be real quick, man. I'm gonna just finish out with this right here. This is the book of Psalms 17 and 13, man. Based on what you just watched in the video, man, it says, arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him. All right, disappoint these Edomites. Cast him down. All right, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. All right, so the wicked, man, their soul is destroyed. All right, because of want of things, man, and coveting people's fields of oil and their houses and their riches and their resources, man, to keep them underfoot, man, as it were. All right, but the wicked, man, is the sword, man. The sword is Esau Edom, man. All right, that's his blessing. All right. The book of Genesis chapter 27, man, you can read the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau was, he said, by thy sword shalt thou live, man. All right, so you seen it, okay? You seen the video, you heard what they doing. They started bombing Iran again. So much for the ceasefire agreement. You see, just the hypocrite, man. Say, oh, we want peace and this and that, right? And then next thing you know, they bombing again. All right, breaking those treaties, breaking those covenants. All right, so you know the instability of Esau Edom is exposing him for who he really is. He's the devil in the earth. This is why Iran said they're not they're not interested in no peaceful negotiations with the United States, because they always backpedal. They always break the treaties, always break the truths, the ceasefires. You can't trust this devil. The scriptures tell us never trust thine enemy, man. All right, for as iron rusted, so is his wickedness, man. All right, his wickedness has not been altogether wiped away, to roughly paraphrase, man. But like I say, I just want to make this one quick, man. But we see this devil making moves, and I had to put this video up, man, because you know, hey, man, I'm watching it, all right, and I got a report on it, man. All right, so Lord's willing, this is edifying. To the next one, man. Shalom.